Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. If you're tuning in right now, pain, suffering. I've listed these synonyms like 4 or 5 times this season. And you know what Uncle Ben said at the beginning of Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. You know what Joe Judge did with that power? He freaking threw it in the trash can and he burned it. He burned the responsibility. He comes out after these games talking about, I need to watch the film and I saw good things and we're not there yet and September's preseason. I don't want to hear this shit anymore, man. I'm tired of the freaking shit. I'm tired of the talking and not putting it out on the field. We just got embarrassed by the Rams. Embarrassed. How many times can I say that? We got embarrassed. They took out their starting quarterback because they were killing us so badly. They were running it down our throats, and we knew it was coming and still couldn't stop them. Our defense dropped multiple interceptions. Xavier McKinney had 2, but I don't even care about that. You know what I mean? The running game ran all over us again. Passing game passed all over us again. Our linebackers are a mess. Not much protect. But I want to talk about the offense here, man, because our offense gave them points, right? Our offense gave them field positioning, gave them points. The defense didn't stand a chance. We could talk a bit here. We could sit here and talk about the defense all freaking day. But the offense turned the ball over in their own side of the field multiple times. I think Daniel Jones had, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, maybe 3 interceptions, and a fumble. 4 turnovers in total. 4 of them. All of them in their own zone, I believe. So gifting points to the Rams, gifting them. The offensive line, oh my God. After Andrew Thomas went down, oh my God. Wes Martin might have been a high school player for all I know, going up against Aaron Donald. He was embarrassed. The fact he's even on our freaking roster embarrasses me. Daniel Jones making some really bad throws. He had a bad game, but I'm not going to put all the blame on him today, right? Because the line was so bad, the receivers dropping like flies. CJ Board left with a cast on his hand. Kadarius Toney on the first drive of the game got knocked out with the ankle. I mean, tell me how important Kadarius Toney is to this team without telling me how important he is to this team. The second he was down, the second he left, they were a joke. There was nothing from them. No, absolutely nothing. Kadarius Toney, last week against Dallas, showed us that he is our entire offense. He is our entire offense without Saquon, without Golladay. He does it all. He is everything for that offense, to Anthony. I'm pissed. I'm frustrated. I feel embarrassed to be a Giants fan right now. Will I stop being a fan? Absolutely not. I'm a loyal guy, but they're testing my patience, man. Someone's got to be freaking fired for this absolute abomination of a game we just watched on television. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty sad, honestly, because football Sundays just aren't the same. They're just not enjoyable anymore. I used to growing up, every Sunday was my day, right? I was always looking forward to getting to Sunday so I can watch the New York Giants play, so I can sit down and watch football and relax. I can't do that anymore. I don't enjoy it. The Giants aren't enjoyable to watch, and I feel really bad, and I really feel for everyone that's a season ticket holder, and they own tickets to all these games, and you go to these games, and you just get this crappy product year after year, week after week by the New York Giants. It's unacceptable. Like, they need to make major changes immediately because a lot of people are going to stop tuning into games, stop going to games if these changes aren't made. And it really seems like the fan base is probably at a breaking point. My love for football Sundays is just not what it used to be. I just don't wake up excited to watch the Giants play anymore. I used to. Even a couple of weeks ago, I still felt it to some extent, but today I was like, the Giants aren't going to win today. I know that. And then when they lost, I was so numb to it. They got blown out, and I was like, saw this coming a mile away. It doesn't even hurt me. It's just I've seen it so many times. I saw this exact thing. Giants versus Rams 2017. Giants got blown out. Rams put 50 plus points on them. So I'm used to this at this point, but it's never going to be something that I want to get used to. And I know, again, there's plenty of people listening to this that are season ticket holders that were at this game. They're going to hear this later on when they get back from the game. They go home. They want to recap. If you even really want to relive any of this, I know that you guys are feeling the same way that I'm feeling. You're just feeling very sad because this love that you had for the Giants is just not what it used to be because the Giants just aren't what they used to be. And it's really a harsh reality to wake up to on Sundays, on Mondays or Thursdays, whenever the Giants are playing. But listen, it's, again, like I said, at a breaking point. The Giants are going to have to make wholesale changes. Remember, that's the phrase that he used, that John Mara used in 2017. He said wholesale changes are coming. And then he just went and hired Dave Gettleman because they're friends. Nepotism, but that's not a wholesale change. That was just bringing in a guy that used to work for you to continue working for you. That's not a wholesale change. So I'm assuming wholesale changes are once again on the horizon. I think that a decision needs to come from the top. A manager position needs to open up. General manager position needs to open up for the Giants because we're looking, I think, and I was texting Alex about this earlier, I think we're looking at another 3 to 5 years of this crap because we're in such a hole right now. It's tough, man. This is one of those demoralizing losses that you don't feel that much because you're so used to them and numb to them. And that's the saddest
I
part.
still feel it, man. I still feel it. I'm numb to it, but it just hurts. And the worst part about it is knowing how far away we are from even being competent. You know what I mean? Like, we could be a bad team, but show spurts of life every now and then. We barely do that. We beat the Saints, and that was a fluke. That was a fluke. That was a miracle. You know what I mean? Look, a lot of guys are injured, offensive linemen included, receivers included, but there's no excuse, man. It happens every year. You know what I mean? When there's this many injuries happening every single year, was at some point somebody's got to figure out why it's happening. Is it the strength and conditioning? Is it Joe Judge running these guys into the ground because he's trying to punish them for shit he's doing wrong too? He should be running freaking laps, bro. Joe Judge should be the first one out there tomorrow morning or Tuesday morning running laps for all the mistakes he's made. Dave Gettleman should be running laps before they're fired. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sad because I don't get the sense that any of these guys actually care for the team anymore. Like, this much losing, like, they're going to start fighting people. They're going to start fighting other teams. Like, we saw it. Like, Sterling Shepard almost got in a fight with that guy at the end of the game today. You know what I mean? They're going to start, like, getting crazy and getting heated and getting over aggressive, and it's going to show. And John Mara is going to sit there on his freaking ass doing absolutely nothing. Do you think someone needs to be fired today? And if so, who does it need to be? Who does it need to be? And what's the strategy now? Do you hit the reset button and just get it over with now and just start from square one right now and just start trading players away, like, and adding draft capital for a new GM? Because at this point, we're 1-5. There's no way back, guys. There's no way back from this. Well, our schedule, we have to play the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, and the Chargers. There's no way back from this. You have no choice. Because we're not sticking with Dave Gettleman, that's for sure. Daniel Jones' rookie window is closing fast, and our offensive line is still a disaster. Will Hernandez's contract's up after this year. Are we paying him? You know what I mean? Like, this is a mess. This is a freaking dumpster fire mess. Where do you go from here, Anthony? Do you fire someone tonight? Do you hit the restart button right now? Because it might be the only option.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I did make that video a couple of weeks ago about firing Jason Garrett, why the Giants shouldn't wait to do that. They should do that immediately. I still stand by that. And I made that video. And then, of course, a few days later, the Giants played the Saints and the offense looked phenomenal. But then the following week, it looked terrible. And the following week after that, it's also looked terrible. So I still stand by that video, stand by my opinion. I think that Jason Garrett can have a couple of good games here and there, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a start to finish, from the start of the season to the end of the season, consistent, good offensive play calling and play designing. And we're not getting that from Jason Garrett. It's so inconsistent, and it's maybe consistently bad is really the key thing there, is that we're getting consistently bad offensive play. And the common denominator from last year to this year is the offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett. I mean, those play calls down in the red zone were really bad early in the game. The Giants had opportunities. They settled for 3. They shouldn't have settled for 3. They had an opportunity to go down there, score some points, and the red zone play calling just did not put the team in position to do that. It was terrible. And of course, as you mentioned, Alex, something needs to be done with the training staff because there are just injuries abundant. Injuries everywhere. So many injuries. I've never seen anything like this. The last time this happened was in 2017. And I hate to say this, but this season is eerily familiar, right? It's just so similar to that 2017 season where the Giants came in with really high expectations to the year. Injuries slaughtered everywhere. Every player just goes down with an injury. Remember that week 5 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers where Odell, Shepard, Brandon Marshall, and a couple other key players all went down in the same game. And then we ended up
Screw MetLife,
finishing that
too.
season. Maybe it's a MetLife curse. I don't know, but we ended up finishing that season 3-13, and that's when the wholesale changes were promised, and we fired our coach and we fired the GM. But honestly, man, you look at it in a different way, and it's like you look at this season, you compare it to that one, it feels the same way, right? injuries abundantly. The team is just not clicking. Players are underperforming. It feels like 2017 all over again. So I'm sure by the end of the year, we're going to be getting some firings going around. And yes, the number one name on my shit list is Jason Garrett. He needs to be fired as soon as possible, in my opinion. I think that Freddie Kitchens is a much better offensive coordinator and play caller, and I do think that he should be elevated to offensive coordinator duties once Jason Garrett is relieved. However, I don't think that the Giants are actually going to fire Jason Garrett anytime soon. I think he's here through season's end, and that is a problem because when you just do that, you just let the guy finish out the job, you're never going to get an evaluation of the other guys that you have, right? That's the same thing with the Nate Solder, Matt Parrott discussion, right? And I know Matt Parrott didn't really have that good of a game today, but you still have to see what you have in Matt Parrott. You still have to see what you have in Freddie Kitchens before you go ahead and fire this coaching staff and you bring a new one in and Freddie Kitchens walks away and becomes coach of the year, assistant coach of the year somewhere else calling plays, right? So you have to at least give these guys an opportunity before you move on from them. That's why I don't like the idea of, letting this guy finish out the season in his job. Screw that. I don't have that love and respect for Jason Garrett that John Mara does. He doesn't need to finish out his season as the offensive coordinator. I
I have no
say the
respect for
sooner
any of
you
them.
fire him, right, the sooner you fire him, the better, because you can see if there's any other viable options already on your coaching staff, right? If Freddie Kitchens comes in, turns the offense around immediately, you know that Jason Garrett was a problem the whole time. We just needed a new offensive coordinator. If he doesn't ever get the opportunity to call any plays or call any games, well, then Jason Garrett is just going to play out the whole season. And then we're going to get to the end of the year. We're going to have a short list rather than a long list, but a short list of offensive coordinator candidates. You just got to know what you have. So, yes, I'm on that boat, Alex. I definitely think that the Giants should get some firings done sooner than later. But ultimately, I think that this is just going to be a year of firings at the end of the season. I think it's going to get ugly. It's going to be slaughterhouse. And I'm not looking forward to it, man, because I actually do like some of these guys. I like Joe Judge, but he just isn't what I thought he would be.
Look, here's how I see it. The Giants, John Mara only hires people that he's friends with, right? Or like only trusts people that he's friends with. And he's got to bring in some fresh blood into this organization. Bring in somebody that people respect around the league, a young up and coming guy like a Sean McVay, like a Kyle Shanahan, someone that's young and knows the modern style of the league and has a sense of the vibe. Joe Judge is working these guys into the ground, and it's not working. You know what I mean? He's making them run. He's doing this whatever disciplinary stuff. I don't know, but it's not working. And end of the day, Jason Garrett was on a 2-year contract. They're not going to renew him, right? They won't renew the contract. He'll leave on good terms. He'll leave on peaceful terms. Dave Gettleman will retire at the end of the year. And John Mara is going to tell him, either I fire you and I embarrass you, or you retire and you walk away having some sort of a, legacy, that's not stained by a firing at the end of a season. That's the reality. If anything, if John Mara should do anything, it is hire a third party right now while Joe Judge, while Jason Garrett, while Dave Gettleman are all here. Hire a third party to do a full analyzing, a full breakdown of this entire organization to see what the flaws are, what is going on here, and say, your jobs, your jobs are not in danger. I'm doing this to figure out if there's something I'm doing wrong. Put the blame on himself. I don't care, but he's got to set the motion now. He's got to put the change, the transition in motion now, because if he waits until the end of the season, all the good GMs will be gone. All the good GMs will be gone. All the good head coaches or offensive coordinators or whoever it is they need to replace will be gone. They'll be gone. Houston, maybe they're going to go get somebody. Who knows? Urban Meyer, you have the Raiders now with Gruden. They will all be freaking gone. The Giants have to move now. Are they going to be sitting like they did last time with their ass on the freaking pavement, on the scorching hot pavement of MetLife Stadium, looking at old dinosaurs like Dave fucking Gettleman, trying to figure out who their next GM is going to be? They're going to be with their ass on the freaking scorching hot pavement, waiting to see who's left of the litter, the runt of the litter, Dave Gettleman's ass, who nobody liked at Carolina. They're going to be waiting. And everybody else is going to have the better GMs and head coaches that are on the market. That is what is going to happen. And John Mara is going to be sitting there like a freaking goose head once again. And we're going to be having this conversation again in 5 years if he does not start to put the wheels in motion now to make the transition. He's got to start now, or he will be scraping barnacles at the bottom of the boat trying to figure out who the hell the next GM is going to be. That is what is going to happen. So if there's anything I can say to that organization right now, they've got to start thinking about the future before it passes them by. That is what I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's sooner rather than later because if you do it later, you're going to lose out on multiple strong candidates. You just are. That's just how it happens. And one thing that I'll say though, if we're really going to look that far ahead, there are some very good candidates upcoming. Like some really good, viable head coaching candidates are set to be available. Brian Dabble is like the big name right now for the Buffalo Bills. People love what he did with Josh Allen. People are dreaming about watching him work with Daniel Jones and turn this thing around. I mean, yeah, like there are names out there to consider. I know Ed Dobbs is Indianapolis Colts vice president or whatever, and people want him to be the new GM. Like there are viable options out there. And for the Giants to just wait till season's end, you think that there aren't other teams considering these viable options? Like these guys aren't going to get scooped up by season's end? They are. They are. They're just going to find new homes before the Giants even get to that point, unless they get the firings done now and they start looking and talent evaluating as soon as possible. That's just how you have to do it. When you rebuild, you start the rebuilding process as soon as you can. You don't want to push it, kick it down the line, kick the can. You don't want to do that. You want to do it immediately so that you can turn things around quicker and sooner rather than later, because the Giants clearly didn't do that last time. They didn't do it sooner than later. They did it later. And now we're in this hole for years, and it's just been horrible to go through. But at the end of the day, that just is what it is. We've barely even touched on this Rams game. I know you guys probably don't even want to hear us talk about this travesty of a football game anyway.
I have
Probably
nothing to
rather
say.
hear
I have
us
nothing to
right.
say.
Probably
Nothing to
rather
say.
just hear us vent about the team and the current state of the team, because that's really all we can do. We can just vent about how bad the New York Giants are. And it was on full display today. It really was. And I don't even want to blame Daniel Jones, like you said, Alex, because he had a concussion 7 days ago. It's so bad he couldn't walk. I don't blame him for not playing a good football
He's
game.
played good games this
Plus,
year. The Giants did nothing
he
for him. The
has.
offensive line garbage. The receivers garbage.
He he
Why are we?
carries
You're not going to sit here and blame him.
he carries the offense when he's playing well. Like, and today he just couldn't carry three backup receivers and a backup running back. It just wasn't possible. So at the end of the day, I'm not blaming him. I'm just blaming a top to bottom issue, from ownership to managerial ship to head coaching ship. There's so many problems, Alex. I don't even know where to begin. If I'm the owner of this team, and I'm not, I wish I were, so I could just fire people willy nilly. But I can't do that. Hopefully, John Mara wises up though and does make some firings, because they're needed. You got to do it sooner than later.
Look, I don't even know what. If you're Dave Gettleman sitting there right now, what are you even saying to John Mara? What are you even saying to him? There's nothing good to say. There's no way you could sit there and say this team is going to get there. We're on the right path. The injuries are an excuse. No. The offensive line was a mess from day one. I don't want to hear people talking about Zach Fulton and Joe Looney being our saviors. And yes, they retired. You actually think those guys were going to come in and save the day? I have something to say. That is BS. That was never going to happen. Shane Lemieux, we don't even know if he was going to be good at all. He was awful in his rookie season, and people, I'm not going to say he was going to be good or bad, but the reality was he was probably going to be bad. He was probably going to be bad, or at least even if he made it to an average level, it's not enough. We need some above average offensive line talent, and the only ones we had were Nick Gates and Andrew Thomas. Both of them are now injured, right? Daniel Jones took a huge step forward this year, and the Giants invested all their money in wide receivers, and they're all injured. All of them. Kadarius Toney, ankle injury. Kenny Golladay, knee injury. CJ Board has a hand injury now. Sterling Shepard, hamstring. Darius Slayton, hamstring injury. They're all injured. Saquon Barkley, done. They have Daniel Jones. I don't blame the guy. I don't blame him, because he's had nothing to work with. He has no time in the pocket, and he has no receivers, and he has no running backs, right? So at the end of the day, a new GM is going to come in here and say, Daniel Jones, even if I like the guy, it's his time may be done, because the Giants haven't built a sustainable team around him, right? We may have to hit the restart button, because we have to build and rebuild a fundamental system around him, a base, a ground floor around him, because it's not there. We don't want to be paying a quarterback $25-30 million when we need to rebuild a foundation of a team. You understand? That is not how a rebuild works. You start with the quarterback. You don't start with the rest of the team. You know what I mean? Yes, it's good to have a quarterback in place, but in my opinion, you're going to be spending a ton of money there, and you already have massive contracts for Kenny Golladay. Dave Gettleman's parting gift to us was huge contracts to bog anybody else down that could possibly take over this job. Screw that guy. Straight up screw Dave Gettleman, because he went out, he signed Kenny Golladay to a massive $74 million deal, Leonard Williams to another $70 million deal, John Ross. Some of these guys are on one-year contracts, but he went out and signed huge contracts, and now he's going to leave, and another GM's going to come in here and say, I got to fix this mess. And it starts with basically just waiting it out. or trying to find trade partners for these guys. They overpaid Kenny Golladay massively, probably. At the end of this contract is probably going to look like an overpay. Adoree Jackson, everybody was even saying at the time, it seems like an overpay. What are they going to do here? They're going to have to trade some of these guys. They're going to have to try now. I'm obviously very, very upset right now, and maybe being a little bit over dramatic, but I don't feel like I am, because this is a 1-5 team. And if you have anything good to say, leave it in the comments, because I'd love to smile for a minute.
You're not being over dramatic. You and I are in the same boat. It's depressing. It's really saddening to watch what this team has come to. And again, as we keep saying, changes need to be made immediately. This is just like enough now. It's hurtful. This is a hurtful moment in my life. It really is.
It's hurtful, guys. It's hurtful. But guys, hope you enjoyed the rant. Definitely going to be a long week, and we're going to be talking a lot of smack, because that's all I really got. We'll focus in on what we think the Giants should do. We'll focus in on what the coaching staff, what's the future for them? What's the strategy here from John Mara, if he even has one? That's pretty much it, guys. So make sure to subscribe below if you want to vent along with us. If you want to vent along with us, hear us talk a lot of smack. Hear us talk a lot of smack, and more smack, and more smack. Come and hang out with us. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to be here until we're good. So make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and we'll catch you guys on the next Giants episode.